Hello everyone! If you've tried the new Spiral Abyss in Genshin, I'm sure most of you have seen the new mechanic that's been added for floor 11 called Corrosion. With Kokomi coming out in the next banner, miHoYo is really trying to sell us on her healing-centered kit by adding certain content in the game that involves taking damage over time, while also making certain healers much more relevant in the game as a whole. I know most of you know this already, but the healer meta for the last few months has centered significantly around certain characters, such as Diona and Bennett, that not only offer heals, but something else as well, such as a shield in the case of Diona and a damage buff in the case of Bennett. Because these two characters have generally provided enough sustain for most of the Spiral Abyss content we've been introduced to so far, there's been much less incentive for people to build healers that only provide really big heals as their primary selling point. With this new mechanic being added to the Spiral Abyss, however, it does seem like the healer meta might actually be shifting and making certain characters much more relevant. In order to combat this new Corrosion mechanic, we first need to understand how it works. Corrosion was recently introduced on floor 11 of the Spiral Abyss in patch 2.1. This mechanic mainly centers around characters on your entire team taking damage every time you kill an enemy. Each stack of Corrosion you gain from killing an enemy will slowly drain the HP of each of your party members by about 0.73% of their maximum health over the course of 10 seconds. Take note that Corrosion will also affect your inactive party members. However, only your active character can die from corrosion damage. It also ignores shields, so characters like Zhongli will not be able to prevent this effect. Once your inactive party members have less than 15% HP left, they will stop receiving damage from the corrosion effect. Because you will have to kill enemies in order to clear a chamber, this mechanic is pretty much unavoidable, and you will need to bring healers in order to restore your team's HP. The main healer I highly recommend bringing is Barbara. Not only because she's very free-to-play friendly, since everyone has at least one copy of her, but also because her kit happens to be really good for countering the corrosion effect. Her elemental skill can heal over time, which is really good to prevent your active character from dying, and her ult also heals your entire team, which is important because corrosion affects all of your inactive party members as well. I would also recommend Jean for much of the same reason, because her ult also provides a really big heal for your entire team. And of course, if you do happen to have Chi-Chi, I would recommend bringing her here as well because she has multiple parts of her kit that can heal your party members, especially her elemental skill and ult, which both provide really good healing numbers. Now, if you're like me and you've only built characters such as Diona or Bennett for your Abyss team, there are some other things you can do to make your life a little bit easier when trying to clear floor 11. The first thing I would recommend if you're running characters like Diona or Bennett that can only heal one character at a time is to swap your party members frequently while their burst is active in order to heal as many of them as possible. You can also use ults on your other party members while standing within the AoE heal in order to be invulnerable to damage during its animation while they regain their HP. Another useful tip is to bring 2 healers for your team. In this case, I recommend bringing 1 main DPS, 1 sub DPS, and 2 healers. You could also bring a character like Xingqiu, who isn't really the best solo healer, but can provide some supplemental heals for your team through his first Ascension talent. I also highly recommend putting characters that have the same element as your chosen healer on the same team. This way you can collect the energy required to use their ult much faster and allow them to heal more often. Finally, if you find yourself having extra time when clearing a chamber, I highly recommend spending this time to farm your ults on your healers and healing your team up before moving on. This will make it much easier for you to fight the first group of enemies in the following chamber. Now I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how to beat each chamber on floor 11. On the first half of chamber 1, try to focus on killing the middle troll with the pyro damage aura first, each time he spawns. This will prevent you from taking any unnecessary damage. Overall, the enemies on this floor are pretty easy, and you do have 5 minutes to clear both chambers. So remember to take your time and farm energy if you have any time left, and heal up your party members. On the second half of Chamber 1, the strategy is the same. Make sure to focus on the Pyro Abyss Mage first in order to remove the Pyro damage aura, and remember to heal if you can before moving on to the next chamber. In the first half of Chamber 2, make sure to try and focus down the Fatui with the Pyro damage aura. I highly recommend trying to kill him before he gets his shield up if possible, especially if you have no Hydro DPS because it will take you a very long time to kill him otherwise. Keep in mind that he does spawn a total of 3 times on this chamber, so make sure you start running towards him and deal damage as soon as he appears. Next, focus on the ranged treasure hoarders because the melee ones will run towards you and you can kill them last. In the second half of Chamber 2, once again, you want to focus on the unit with the Pyro damage aura first. which in this case is a samurai. He will also spawn a total of 3 times, and since the melee treasure hoarders will run towards you anyway, try to focus on the range ones first so you can save yourself some time. Once again, remember to keep an eye on your character's HP bars and try to heal up if you have any extra time left. On the first half of Chamber 3, I highly recommend killing the System Mages first, because each of the 5s that they spawn will add a stack of Corrosion if you kill them. Try to kill the Cryo one first because it can give herself a shield that can only be removed by killing the 3 System 5s that she spawns. This is important because if you are able to kill her before the shield spawns, you can save yourself a lot of time and prevent your team from taking any extra Corrosion damage. If you do happen to have Venti, I would highly recommend bringing him here because his ult ability can group all the enemies together in this chamber, giving you more time to burst them down before they get their shields up or spawn flies that can add to your Corrosion damage. On the second half of Chamber 3, focus on the Geovishap first because the slimes will run towards you anyway. Because the Geovishap infuses itself with Pyro later on, both Hydro and Cryo DPS are very strong here. Having a shield character is also good because it prevents you from getting knocked up by the enemies on this floor, so that you can just focus on dealing damage. Overall, I think that the Corrosion mechanic was pretty annoying at first, but after using some of the tips I provided in this video, there are definitely ways to make it more manageable. Hopefully this guide helped you a little bit. I encourage everyone to try clearing floor 11 with these tips in mind and see how far you can get. If you'd like to see some of the character builds I used to clear this floor, I will show you guys now. Now we're going to be taking a closer look at the builds for my first Spiral Abyss team, which consisted of Diluc, Venti, Zhongli, and Bennett. So first starting off with Diluc, the weapon I'm currently using on him is the Prototype Archaic R2. He's also currently running a 4-piece Crimson Witch of Flame set. If we take a look at the stats, he has pretty decent crit rate and crit damage, and I'm also running a Pyro Damage Goblet on him. So for his constellations, I have him on C0, and this is what his talent breakdowns look like. I have both his E and his alt crowned. The next character we're going to be taking a look at is Venti. For his weapon, I'm currently using the Stringless at Refinement rank 1. And for his artifacts, I'm currently running a 4-piece Viridescent Venerer set. If we take a quick look at the stats, this is what they look like. And once again for constellations, I have him at C0. And this is what his talent breakdown looks like. I've currently only crowned his alt. Next, we're going to be looking at my build for Zhongli, and at the moment, I'm using the Prototype Star Glitter on him, which is not the most ideal weapon, but I really don't have any other polearms to use, so I've been just using this for now. Looking at his artifacts, I'm currently running a 4-piece Tenacity of the Millilith, and I'll show you his stats real quick. This is what his stats look like. For constellations, I have him at C0, and this is what his talent breakdown looks like. Finally, we're going to be taking a look at my healer build for this team, which is Bennett, and at the moment, I'm using the Favonius sword on him for the extra energy recharge, and for his artifacts, I'm running a 4-piece Noblesse Oblige. If we take a look at his details, I'm currently focusing on max HP for him, and this is what his stats look like. Moving on to Constellation, I currently have him at C0, and this is his talent breakdown. So now I'm going to be doing an overview of the 4 characters I used on my second Abyss team, who are Child, Xiao, Diona, and Barbara. So for Child, at the moment, I'm currently using an R3 Rust on him, and he's also running a 4-piece Heart of Depth set. I'm just going to show you guys his attributes real quick. He does a pretty decent crit rate and crit damage ratio right here, and I'm also running an Hydro Damage Goblet on him. So moving on to his constellations, I do have him at C0 at the moment, and this is what his talents look like. I have crowned both his E and his alt. The next character I had on my team is Xiao, and at the moment I'm using a Skyward Spine on him at level 90. For artifacts, I'm currently using a 2-piece Viridescent Venerer and 2-piece Gladiator's Finale on him, and I'll show you guys his attributes. So at the moment, this is what his crit rate and crit damage ratio look like. And once again, I'm also running an Animal Damage Goblet on him as well. So for constellations, once again, I have him at C0. And this is what his talent breakdowns are. I have crowned his E and his alt as well. So the next character we're going to be taking a look at is Diona. And at the moment, I'm currently using a Sacrificial Bow on her. She also is currently using a 4-piece Maiden Beloved set. This set really does help with healing, so if you find yourself having trouble for floor 11, I would highly recommend using it. Taking a look at her stats, this is what it looks like. As you can see, I've tried to really prioritize max HP for her, and this is where her stat breakdowns are. In terms of constellation, I do have her at C6, and this is what her talent breakdowns look like. So now we're going to be taking a look at the last character I had on my second Abyss team, which is Barbara. At the moment, she's currently only level 60, so she's probably my least well-built character. But I'm using the Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers on her, which is currently level 70 and R5. At the moment, she's also running a 4-piece Maiden Beloved set. But as you can see, some of the artifacts are not fully leveled up yet, so I'm still working on her. This is what her stats look like. And taking a look at the constellation, we can see that she's C2. And this is her talent breakdown. So hopefully this video was of some help to you. If you do like it, remember to subscribe. And if you'd like, you can come check us out on Twitch. I stream most days starting at 6:30 PST. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.